You know, I've kind of talked about this several times before, folks, and I was, you know, like anybody, I was curious about something, and I was watching this show, kind of a on-video podcast, if you will, called Greek Mythology, Greek Mythical Morning, and they were talking about something that I talked about before, but what made me want to look it up a little bit was Playboy. That's right, Playboy, of all people, of all media outlets, did an article basically asking what the heck is a brony. Basically trying to figure out, what is this connection that men my age, if not younger, have, what supposedly was a girls' show, basically a show targeted for little girls. And I read some of this article, and I recommend reading it. Just Google Playboy and Brony, and you'll kind of get the idea. You'll kind of find it. And so like I said, this article was actually quite interesting because when I read it, I was like very intrigued because by reading this article, like the guy that did the article, that did the reporting, I found out that some of these guys, some of these men that went there are just normal people, just normal men. They're married. Sometimes, some of them are married. Some of them got engaged, proposed to the wives there, and at these Brony conventions and stuff like that. And it's like, still the question was, why is there such a connection? Why are it's like, why is there such a connection? Why are grown men still why are grown men still into this thing? Why are they supporting it when it's supposed to be for little girls? And as I read the article, again, as I read the article, even more so, I started to realize that there's one common thing about it. One common thing. And that common thing that they have about it, that common thing that they have about it is that even though intentionally, and even though originally and more intentionally the target audience was young girls, 7 to 10, maybe younger, that Lauren Faust, who was the head creator and writer of this show, pretty much along with her team, created something that went beyond their expectations. Created something that, outside of its little box, if you will, became more than what they expected. How do I put this? It became something that I don't think they counted on, quite honestly. I don't think they counted on. Because what they did in this series is they referenced a lot of pop culture very subtly. That's right, very subtly. I think I pronounce that word. Very subtly, they made references to a lot of things in pop culture from the past few decades, from movies, music, books, whatever. They made some very unique references. Like they made a reference in an episode that involved, I think, what, the ponies or the Cutie Mark Crusaders or whatever going bowling, and there was a scene that when a bowling ball flew past a few male ponies, these male ponies were basically references and representations of the characters from The Big Lebowski. Yeah. That's what they were. They were representations of the of the main characters from The Big Lebowski. And then, of course, you had Diamond Dogs, which was names of several characters. I think characters that kidnapped Rarity and tried to force her to find jewels and all that in one episode, from what I've read, and even seen clips of. And and obviously the reference they got was from David Bowie's song of the same name. And there's many other references and stuff, and as well as the fact that you had some unique voice actors going in there. I mean, Weird Al Yankovic of all people did a voice in the show. It's portraying I can't think of his name right now, but not just a rival at first and then a friend, but a potential love interest for Pinkie Pie. So, you had that, and even if you didn't have Weird Al voicing this character, you pretty much know that the character he was voicing, even if he didn't voice, was intentionally supposed to reference or be a parody of himself. Anyway, though, excuse me. Anyway, though, that, according to what I've read in this article, and then what I've watched the people say at Mythical Morning, and then even this Brony Chronicle two-part video that this one guy did for, I guess, it's a school project, college school class project, during his final year or something like that. In college. He even mentioned that some of this was, that the reason for his success was things like that, was references to pop culture. Another reason, according to the, another reason according to the, another reason according to the, according to the Playboy article, another reason young men, men like myself, or I should say men my age and if not younger or a bit older, the reason they're also drawn into it is because it's very much of a throwback to the original series. which in a sense was more of an adventure series than what My Little Pony Tales, which was Generation 2, and then the other two generations, or the other generation after that, wasn't. Not saying it was, but the other two generations, Tales was okay. Like I said, well, I talked about it in a video or so. My Little Pony Tales was actually a decent show. I thought it was all right. But the other ones, it looked like they toned it down. They were toning it down, if you will, to the point that it's kind of like it was kind of toned down to the point of what you would see Dora the Explorer or Dora and her friends, that new version, would be. Maybe not at that level, but still toned down to where kind of almost like a Dragon Tales kind of like feel to it. So again, you had things like that brought it, brought them in because it had that throwback feel of it being an adventurous show. But on top of all that, one of the other reasons that I read, but one of the main reasons that not only did I read about in this article, but I heard the guys at Good Mythical Morning talk about, and what this Skype guy, whatever his name is, talked about in the second video of his Brony Chronicles project that he did for his college finals and all that. Another reason that men my age, if not older or younger, are into the show is not just because of the references, not just because of the nostalgic, adventurous feel to it, but because of the storytelling, because of the writing overall for the characters and the stories. I mean, basically, you have characters here. I mean, basically, the way this show is written, I mean, Lauren Faust, according to, I think, what was his name? The guy that did the Brony Chronicles videos, basically said she knew what she was doing. She and her team knew what they were doing. They were basically creating something that went beyond their expectations, even though originally it was intended for little girls, that just by the sheer writing of itself, and they even said this in the Good Mythical Morning podcast, that only older fans, adults that maybe have grown up with the original G1 series, they would put that through the writing with the characters and storytelling, that a lot of adults, there were certain things that they put in there that only people my age, if not older, would get and understand. So by putting that there, in a sense, but by putting that kind of writing into the show, but with the storytelling and the characters that you had, by putting that kind of writing with those characters, that storytelling and the references, you basically created something, according to from what I've watched in the videos or in the article, that not just originally was intended for young girls, but basically went beyond, as I've mentioned in some of my videos, I've talked about it, have gone beyond the wildest expectations have gone beyond, I think anything they would have expected. I mean, if you go to for example, if you go to a toy store, like a Toys R Us, or you go to a toy section at a Walmart or Target, they have distinct sections for the boys and the girls. They do. They have distinct sections for boys and girls, and in the girls section, you will find these. You will find those in the girls section. You go to the clothing, and let's say you're a parent, you're picking out something for your little, for your daughter or your niece or your granddaughter, and one of the clothing, and most of the clothing there, as far as character licensed and all that, will have ponies. So you think of you look at it, you look at that, and it's like you wonder how something like that, when it gets translated into a show, could attract the opposite gender, if not the older gender. That opposite gender, if not that older age. And again, I think what it is, and I do agree with some of this, it's the characters, it's the way the show's overall, it's the show's overall presentation. The fact that it's a nostalgic nod to the more adventurous MLP that we had with Generation 1. Like I said, it's more of a reference to that. It's, the characters are written to the point that you can actually, even if you don't watch the show as much, like I don't. I don't watch the show that much. I mean, yes, I have it on my Netflix queue. Yes, I've recorded 1 or 2 episodes, basically the Halloween and Christmas themed episodes for my holiday DVD, my yearly holiday DVD and specials DVD sets. Yes, I've done that. But even though I've done that, and yes, I have acted from a nostalgic standpoint, from a collector's standpoint, nostalgic standpoint, I have collected the figures like the ones you've seen. I've collected a tiny rarity figure, one of the tiny 8-inch rarity figures, a plush rarity at my job with the multiple colored streams. I have a Candace, I have a Twilight. I have the Celestial Solace box, box set for, the Celestial Solace box set of cards of the MLP card game. I have a starter pack, one of those regular, little small starter packs of the MLP. I have the card sets with. I have the box set, the little small box sets, about this big, with Twilight, one with Twilight and one with Luna on them. So yeah, I do collect them, but it doesn't mean I watch the show. I collect them out of the fact that it's a phenomenon, and that I will admit, from what I've seen, the show, I have to agree, the show has a unique pull, a uniqueness to it, that even if you watch it once or twice, or you watch clips of it, you get a kick out of it.